Enjoy all episodes of the RCWR Show on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio.
Hey boys and girls, have you subscribed to us on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The RCWR Show? If not, you're really missing out on some really great and exclusive content only available on our YouTube channel, such as great face-to-face video interviews, album reviews, live exclusive web shows on Mondays and Wednesdays. Find out why since 2012 to date we've have over 9,000 subscribers and over 5 million views and counting. If you aren't part of our YouTube community, you're missing out on a lot of great content and a lot of great fun, as we always do our best to keep it honest, insightful, and most importantly, interactive. So head on over there right now and subscribe to our growing YouTube community today at youtube.com/The RCWR Show.
Hey WWE fans, be sure to check out the RCWR Show live Monday nights on youtube.com/The RCWR Show at 11:15 p.m. Eastern after WWE Raw for full fallout and review along with great live fan reactions.
What is going on, boys and girls? The Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders here of the RCWR Show. You know, while some of you all are kicking back enjoying the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, also taking advantage of some of those Black Friday sales leading all the way up into Cyber Tuesday, we thought we'd do a little bit something special for you all. Now, I don't know how many of you guys recall from checking out our previous shows, but we told you about basically a lost episode that we did with Chavo Guerrero. Well, I'm very happy to say to you guys that after cleaning up the audio, enhancing it a little bit and everything, we definitely are getting ready to present it to you right now as you are listening. Now, a little bit of a interesting story to set this up. Indulge me for just a couple of minutes. So I had reached out to the El Rey Network and I had told them how I wanted to put a lot of attention on the Lucha Underground promotion leading up to its series premiere, and I was given a list of Lucha Underground wrestlers that were available for interviews, and pretty much it came down to Johnny Mundo and Chavo Guerrero. Chavo jumped at it, he was free, and I was like, oh, it's not every day you get to talk to a Guerrero. This is badass. And I was prepared for like a 30-minute conversation in which I was looking to talk about Eddie Guerrero. I was also looking to talk about Vicky and her time in the WWE. It was a whole bunch of stuff I was looking forward to talking to Chavo about. However, as we got ready to do the actual conversation, we had basically a representative from the El Rey Network. I don't know why this person felt the need that they needed to inject themselves into the conversation, but it basically ended up being a three-way conference call. And like, we've been doing our shows since 2011. I've never had a situation like that before. I don't know why this individual felt compelled to want to sit in on the conversation. I mean, we've had numerous guests in the past where if they didn't feel comfortable giving their number, we would usually just give them our show number and encourage them to block their number, you know, and we tell them how to do it and all that. And many of them were like, oh, okay, cool. Right. All right. Well, that's what I'll do then. All right. That's exactly what Eddie Trunk of VH1 Classics That Metal Show did. He actually called from a restricted number. So just to give you an example. So I don't know, but in either case, it was a very awkward conversation knowing that there was somebody else that was listening, and then they would jump in and they would correct us on some of the things that we were talking about. And long story short, unfortunately, that combined with just Chavo really steering the conversation about Lucha Underground, which we were going to talk about. I was going to try to dedicate like about maybe the first 10-15 minutes to just going all over the place, and then talk about the Lucha Underground promotion, but as you guys can kind of tell as you're listening to it, it really just comes off like, okay, Lucha Underground, this is what it's all about. And unfortunately, there's only but so many minutes you can spend talking about a new promotion that some people may unfortunately not really care about, and they want to know more about some really cool stories, road stories, WWE stories, you name it, that Chavo may have that he can share with you, the listeners. So unfortunately, the interview had ended pretty short. It's probably like about maybe 15 minutes. We're lucky if it's almost close to 20. But hey, I just thought I'd let you guys know that in setting this up. So hey, as always, we appreciate you all's feedback. I really do hope you enjoy this conversation that I had with Chavo. It was definitely an honor to kick back and talk with him. As I said earlier, it's not every day you get to say you talk to a Guerrero. So on that note, we're going to load this audio up for you all. New episodes of the RCWR show will resume on Tuesday night, December 2nd at 10 p.m. Eastern. Join myself and my broadcast partner, Titus Machiavelli. Yes, Titus Machiavelli will be making a special radio appearance for 1 week only, as we're going to be on our Blog Talk Radio platform. That's right. We're going back to our old platform, our old girlfriend over at Blog Talk Radio. As for one night only, we're going to have the chat room open. We're going to have the phone lines open. A lot that we're going to be talking about, including everything that's been going on with that CM Punk Colt Cabana podcast. We're also going to talk about the Stone Cold Steve Austin interviewing Vince McMahon exclusively on the WWE Network for his Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast. We'll also get you guys hooked up with the very latest in wrestling and entertainment headlines. It's going to be a very fun, interactive show. You all are more than encouraged to send us questions that you would like for us to address on air. You can do so by hitting us up on Twitter at the RCWR Show, or hit up Titus at Evil Genius Titus, or you can send us a message on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. That's Infinity with an E. Throw in the actual number 1, Infinity One Productions, or email us infinityOneProductions@gmail.com. You can also phone in once we go live at 10 p.m. Eastern this Tuesday night. Number to call is 646-478-3525. One more time, that's 646-478-3525. If you missed all that, you have a very powerful button at your fingertips. Rewind. Enjoy, folks, my conversation with the one and only Chavo Guerrero.
Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011. You're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., as featured on Wrestling8.com and TNA Insider, Lee Sanders.
You know, when you think of wrestling families, a lot of names come to mind. The Rhodes, the Von Erichs, the Ortons, just to name a few. But one name that's definitely very high on that list is the Guerrero family, and it's truly an honor to be able to kick back here today and be able to talk with someone you all definitely are very familiar with if you've seen his work in WCW, WWE, ECW, TNA wrestling, as he's embarking on a new venture, which is the Lucha Underground promotion. We'll let him tell you a little bit about that in just a little bit. But ladies and gentlemen, it's the one, the only Chavo Guerrero. Chavo, how you doing, man?
What's going on, Lee? How you doing, brother?
Going good, thanks. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time out to do this, not just for our listeners, but for our North American audience, as I'm sure there's a lot of fans of yours and our show that is definitely looking forward to this conversation here. For sure, I definitely appreciate you taking the time out to do this, as I've been following your career for a long time now, and I've always been a big fan of your work.
I appreciate it. Make me feel old. Just kidding.
No, you're still young. Come on now. Now, I saw a couple of your tweets from earlier as you were talking about the Dallas Cowboys. I'm a little bit curious. Were you a little bit disappointed in their loss to the Washington Redskins? I should note, I'm over here in the Washington, D.C. area, so I got to try to represent the Redskins to a certain extent.
It's cool, man. I've been saying it all week. I'm a huge Dallas Cowboys fan and a huge football fan, but, when the Dallas Cowboys when we were 1-15, you know who we beat? We beat the Redskins. Mm-hmm. When the Redskins were 1-15, you know who they beat? They beat the Cowboys, and the Cowboys won the Super Bowl that year. So, every time they play each other, you can't count anybody out, and it's just one of those things. And I'm glad that our defense got exposed and shows us our weaknesses. So we're going to be a better team because of it. So
right. I feel where you're coming from. I know exactly where you're coming from. For me, and when it comes to football teams, I don't just stay dedicated to one team. There's actually several teams that I check out. Like off the top of my head, there's like about maybe 5-6 teams that I check out regularly. Definitely Peyton Manning and the Broncos, his brother Eli and the Giants. I love checking out Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, just to name a few. Are there any other teams that you enjoy checking out?
It's hard for me to even start liking other teams. So I'm such a diehard Cowboy fan, being from El Paso, Texas, and then being Mexican. So we like if you're a Mexican American, you like two teams. You either like the Cowboys or you like the Raiders. So I'm a Cowboy fan.
Right. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Switching gears up a little bit, I know our North American audience, they may last recall seeing you on the TNA Impact Wrestling show on Spike TV, as last year, back in December, you were involved in a Feast or Fired match in which you had won a briefcase. Turns out you had the pink slip, which meant you were fired from TNA Wrestling immediately, like right there on the spot. And I know a little bit of time has passed, as since then, the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, who also used to work in TNA Wrestling, he had recently did a couple of shoot interviews where he had talked about the whole Feast or Fired concept. He basically said it was just very tasteless, disrespectful, especially when you're legitimately releasing somebody live on national television. He definitely was so against the Feast or Fired concept. Now that a little bit of time has passed for you, what did you make of how TNA handled you in that aspect compared to when they had first brought you in?
You know what, man, it was almost a blessing in disguise, man, to be honest. It was one of those things that they were changing just so rapidly, and I just was not happy with the direction they were going in. So for that, I was like, okay, great, awesome, I'm out of here, thank God. That's a great way to get out of my contract. You know what? It's one of those that, if you know wrestling contracts, sometimes they're ironclad and you just can't get out of them. This way was a great way. I got out. I was like, okay, great. And you know what, man? At the end of the day, it's TV, and whatever. That's just the way it goes. But to me, it's almost saying that's kind of like the reason that, they're in the position that they're in right now, which is not a very good position. And it's just, the way that, the way not only they treat like the wrestlers but the fans, and you just can't treat them like that. And that's why I'm so happy about this Lucha Underground, brother, because we're giving first of all, it's all about the fans. I say that time and time again, because without them, there's no us. Without ratings, without people watching, without fans watching, then there's no wrestling. So in order for them to watch, you have to put on a good product. Unfortunately, right now, what's going on in the wrestling world is there's not a lot of competition. So the other organizations, and I don't like to mention them by name right now, they're not. There's no competition, so they don't have to put out a great product, because it's like, in a sense, like, well, if you don't like it, then there's nowhere else to go. So with Lucha Underground right now, we kind of saw that and saw that there was a place. Mark Burnett is a genius when it comes to TV like that and other things. But there's a place right now for people are hungry. How do I say this in the right way? Is that the people are hungry for some good wrestling programming and to be treated right. That's what we come in with Lucha Underground. And Lucha Underground, I'm not only a talent, but I'm also a producer in it. So I'm bringing, 75 years of wrestling, Guerrero knowledge that you just can't learn. It's like passed down secrets that are passed down, family secrets. And we're bringing that to these fans. And with Lucha Underground, when I tell you we're going to change the game, we are going to change the way you view wrestling. And I've been everywhere. I've seen everything. And I'm not kidding you when I say that. This is a completely different, brand new product that we're giving to the fans. And the reason being is that other organizations, their TV shows propel their pay-per-views and their live events. Well, Lucha Underground is a TV show. We don't have pay-per-views. We don't have live events. So we are propelling, every show is propelling the next show and the next show, and that's it. So other organizations are not going to give you their best stuff on TV because they want you to pay for it, whether on a network or a pay-per-view. That's what they're trying to do. Get that they're trying to have you upgrade. It's they're upselling you. But they're supersizing you is what they're basically doing. Well, what we're doing is we don't have pay-per-view. So every show we're giving this, just knocking it out of the park, just boom, and another great show and another great show with incredible wrestling and incredible matches. And not only that, we got the expertise of Robert Rodriguez and his crew. So we're giving like wrestling in a like a Robert Rodriguez movie, like a HBO type of feel, to where we're shooting it like we're on film with different angles and stuff. And so the backstage vignettes and the promos aren't just one angle and, okay, you got to knock it out. I mean, we're shooting different angles up and above. There's smoke, there's lighting, there's wardrobe. It's like we're shooting a movie. So the product, and I've seen this product. We're giving these fans something that they've never seen, man. And I'm talking, but I'm telling you, I could go on and on about this. But really, this is a whole new thing. When I tell you that we're changing the game, man, we really are.
I've got to be brutally honest with you, Chavo, because I've been checking out wrestling for many, many years now. We've been doing our shows covering all things wrestling and entertainment since 2011, and it just seems like with each year that passes, there's more and more fans that become very agitated as far as that certain promotion that you don't want to name. I think you and me both are thinking the same company there, especially if it's ended in those letters towards the end of the alphabet. They definitely are craving that change. They are definitely going out and they're trying to support more and more independent wrestling promotions, and I'm quite sure they're ecstatic to be able to get in some new blood like the Lucha Underground promotion. Talk about, if you can, how the opportunity to partner up with Lucha Underground came about, or your involvement with Lucha Underground came about.
I've heard about it, and it was rumblings about it for the last, couple years, and I got a call from this our executive producer and head writer, who's Christopher DeJoseph. He used to be with one of the other organizations and was one of their head writers. Well, since then has left and been in Hollywood writing Big Brother and other things. Well, I got a call from him, and he's like, "Hey, would you like to be involved in this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would." So we just started talking, and it just was a good fit for me to bring in just my knowledge of wrestling and not just to be on air talent. There was so many different aspects that I could do that I knew that the TV production company didn't know, because they're doing TV. Well, I'm doing wrestling, so together it's a really great partnership. You're not trying to, because if you copy and there's that other company is a juggernaut. They're huge, they're massive. And if you try to copy them, then all you're going to do is just be a carbon copy of something that is much bigger. We're coming in and doing something different with incredible wrestling, incredible production, incredible backstage vignettes, incredible just some of the stuff that these luchadors do. one of the other wrestlers that I don't want to name by name, but he's still under contract, he was backstage, and he and I were watching the matches, and we were looking at each other going, God, everything that we used to do, that these guys have just, like, completely trumped it, and that whole, like, X Games feel where they just keep outdoing each other and not doing each other, not doing each other. Well, now these guys have brought it to wrestling, and some of the stuff and acrobatics and stuff that these guys are doing, that's crazy. You know, guys from AAA like Phoenix and Drago and Pentagon, and I mean, there's more guys that they're doing this stuff that's like, wow. I mean, it's almost like, why didn't I think of that? But if I would have thought about it, I wouldn't have been able to do it. It's crazy.
So we now know some of the names of the talent that's going to be in Lucha Underground that folks can check out every single week. Who are some of the other stars that you can name, or are you not allowed to discuss at this point?
Besides, you know, incredible talent from AAA, people that they may know here in the States is we have Big Rick, who was formerly Ezekiel Jackson. We have Johnny Mundo, who was formerly John Morrison, who guys are just, you know, great talents, and some new guys that they scouted out, and this kid, Prince Puma, he's one of our main guys. He's wrestled on the indie circuits as Ricochet and a couple other things. And I didn't know anything about him, to be honest. And when I see him, I tell you, and I told this to his face, he's one of the top 10 wrestlers in the world right now. In any organization, in any country, wherever. I'm like, why have you never been on the big stage before? And he's like, I don't know. No one, they didn't want me. I'm like, are you kidding me? This guy, he's blowing it away. Like incredible. In the opening show, you're going to see a match with him and Johnny Mundo, formerly John Morrison, Johnny Nitro. For us being the first show, it's almost like, God, how do we top that? These guys tore it down.
That is awesome. I am stoked just hearing about that. Now, I know we have a lot of people that's out there that's probably curious how they can check out Lucha Underground. So tell them the day, the times, how they can go about seeing it on their respective cable providers. Because I know at this point, as we're talking, it's kind of limited right now. But of course, all that can change in the very near future.
If you don't know the LA Network, or if your cable provider or satellite provider has it, go to elraynetwork.com, and they'll be punching Lucha Underground, and you'll find out exactly, put in your postal code right there, your zip code, and it'll tell you where you can see it in your area for real. You gotta check it out.
Well, hey, Chavo, I really appreciate you taking the time out to do this, not only for us, but our listeners, your fans. It really means a lot. We definitely got to do this again. Love to have you back on the show one day, as we definitely are going to be checking out that Lucha Underground promotion for sure.
Yeah, no, of course, man. Anytime, of course. This is what I do, man, just connecting the fans and having them, you know, listen out there. It's good just to still be wanted. You know what I mean?
The one and only Chavo Guerrero, folks.
Enjoy all episodes of the RCWR Show on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio.
All right, so that was my conversation that I had with the one and only Chavo Guerrero. I really hope you guys had appreciated that. It was definitely truly an honor to be able to kick back and chat with him. You know, now that I've kicked back and I've listened to that as you all listened to it, I think that was actually a pretty damn good conversation. You know, you had got a nice little balance in there. I tried to get in a little bit of sports talk. We definitely had acknowledged what was going on with TNA wrestling. I wish we could have had a little bit more time with him, as it really would have been nice to just go like all over the place, cover like as many avenues as possible. Who knows? We do have our 400th episode of the RCWR Show coming up in a few weeks. And as I always tell you guys, you never know who's going to be dropping by the RCWR show. So you definitely need to stay tuned for that. But one more time, if you guys have not checked out the Lucha Underground promotion, you are really missing out on a great alternative. Now, for those of you that's on the East Coast, it comes on at 8 p.m. Eastern on the El Rey Network on Wednesday nights. And that's the English version. If you aren't able to catch it, it comes on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern on the Una Mas channel. And again, to see if you can get that network for your respective cable satellite provider, you want to head on over to the elreynetwork.com. That's ELREY and then network, El Rey Network. You can see off the break Lucha Underground, little graphic banner and all that. You click on it and you can put in your zip code and it will tell you who will have the El Rey Network for your respective cable satellite provider. And hey, don't forget, folks, we do talk about the Lucha Underground promotion on our YouTube channel. If you are not part of our YouTube community, very, very big growing YouTube community at that, where we have over 9,000 subscribers, over 5 million views and counting. You're missing out because we do Lucha Underground reviews. We also do live web shows every Monday. Wednesday, we do breaking news. We have some really fun and insightful laid back interviews like what you're listening to right now, on top of face-to-face interviews. We got a little bit of something for everybody. If you're into movies, music, we review that type of stuff. We got something for everybody. So if you haven't subscribed to us yet, you want to make sure that you do so. So one more time, we're enjoying our break. We will be back on Tuesday, December 2nd at 10 p.m. Eastern for 1 week only. We're going back to an old girlfriend over on blogtalkradio.com. As normally, we air new episodes of the RCWR show Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern over on Spreaker.com. But we're going to Blog Talk to be able to utilize the chat room, most importantly, the phone lines, because we want to interact with you guys, because a lot of stuff has just been going on this Thanksgiving holiday week going into the weekend. We told you about the CM Punk Colt Cabana thing. We briefly mentioned it. Also, for those of you that may want to check out that CM Punk Colt Cabana podcast, if you go to our YouTube channel, I gave a review on it, and I also provided a download link where you could check out the actual interview itself, and I edited it in a way where you don't have to hear the 9 minutes of bullshit ads that Colt Cabana goes through. Trust me, I saved you guys a ton of trouble. It's like 9 minutes of ads. It's like overkill. So go on our YouTube channel, check it out. It's the current uploaded video right now that's there. You'll know it when you see it. We tagged it. CM Punk is clear as day, alright? But that is going to do it. I am hoping that you all are having a very good holiday week / weekend right now. Can't wait to come back and talk all things wrestling and beyond with you all. Make sure you be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes of the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown that you might have missed. Available on the downloads now. Check us out on Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. Yes, we are on iHeartRadio. If you are a big fan of that, make sure you add us to your favorites playlist. We would really mean a lot. And hey man, if it was your first time checking us out with this episode maybe and you really enjoyed it, I do hope you subscribe to us and check out our stuff on the downloads, and also leave us a rating and review. I mean, we're trying to do our best to make sure that our shows, especially our podcast shows, continue to be free for everybody. The last thing we want to do is charge like some people, Vince Russo. We don't want to operate like that. Even though his content might be smelling like roses, we don't want to operate like that. So go that extra mile if you really enjoy our stuff, man, and leave us a rating and review on Stitcher, on iTunes. It really goes a long way in helping other people discover our content with more ease. Do that. We definitely humbly thank you in advance. Until next go round, Black Avenger Lee Sanders wishing all y'all to be safe and be kind to one another. See you next go round, everybody. Take care.
This has been the RCWR Show. Thanks for listening. An Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive.